provide supply and demand for more fundamental seats. Half these requests are not there from North County because they're there, but they didn't request because they're not going to put their child on a bus or to all the way to Osceola. They're not going to drive on.
Exactly.
That's why
Clearwater
they're
and
not.
Countryside are the furthest north.
I'm not saying they don't have other programs. I'm saying they may choose fundamental but not choose it because of the distance. So I guess looking globally is great, but it seems like we look globally a lot, and just kind of think we could make some changes.
Okay.
Opinion.
Ms. Hayden.
I'm going to agree with what Peggy had stated about looking at this whole situation from not only just the fundamental perspective, but from the IB programs from North and South, and the unique types of programs that we could be implemented and that we could implement. And I think one of the things that Janet just said was something that maybe we could look at in terms of South County and, well, what are the areas or what are the issues that we're having, and maybe we can do and offer unique programs that can really help with the environment that particular school or we're having issues in a particular area. I think that in looking at this globally, which I think is important, and I'm going to say at this particular time, Robin, I think we do have to, we're at a great point where we can sit down and look at it and make sure we do this right and really map it out and get the feedback that we need from the community, from the specific communities. And then when we do those listening tours, you will have an opportunity to hear from parents from the South County and what they feel that they need, or mid-county or north. And it'll give us the ability to be able to say, okay, now that we've heard public input, now we can go and really look at in the specific environments and what's needed and what types of programs would do best. I think you're always going to have a time where you're going to have that adjustment period. It's not going to always be perfect, throughout the years in every single school in terms of capacity and seats and that type of thing. But now it's exciting that we do have an opportunity to really to do this right. And I think Carolyn made that statement. We can do it right. We don't want to wait necessarily. We want to have, I believe, a mapped out plan, but we can still do it right, getting the input, not only hearing from the fundamental individuals, supporters, but throwing out those other ideas like Janet just brought up. So I think that's...
Why can't we do it right in 3 months?
Because you really only have 2. And it's not... I
just don't think it's enough time.
Are you done, Nina?
I'm done, thank you.
I was so happy to hear you say what you said about K2.
Oh,
I think that's a great idea. Just like there is such a thing as lengthening our school day and teachers working flexible schedules, and having school open. There's so many ideas that are out there. We lengthen the school day, teachers work flexible schedules, and all that stuff is out there. Once again, going back to looking at, and I think the listening tours and things are great. It took us 2 years, and we did that before we went back to our neighborhood schools, and this is where we are now with our schools being more segregated than they were before. Parents made some choices and so forth and so on. And I guess I get into a thing of, I believe parents should make choices. But and I told someone this, when I think in terms of the environment that our students, as they graduate, the work environment that they're going to go into, it is going to be extremely diverse. So as a board member, is my responsibility to listen to what the parents say, or is my responsibility to do what's best for kids? Because I'm looking at it from a broader spectrum of what kids are going to be looking at. We, as a board, dealt with what parents wanted for their children. So now we're at a standpoint void of a lot of diversity, North County, void of a lot of diversity, South County. And we're at this point now of trying to find a way to fix that.
Yeah, I'm
So,
not willing to put that on the parents' back, that
I'm not
diversity
putting it
went
on,
away.
I put it on the board's back, Mrs.
You
Clark.
said we listen to the parents.
I'm saying it is not the parents. I'm saying that it is a board responsibility, that I saw it as my responsibility to say, these kids are going to have to work in a diverse world. We need to have diversity within the district. And that is what I'm saying. I'm not putting the responsibility on the parents. I'm putting the responsibility on this board. We did that. We made that decision. We got input from parents, but we made the final decision. It was ours. So now I'm asking the board to look at it again and to see, because of the decision we made, based on input that we say we got from parents, we made the decision. But we have a void in North County and we have a void in South County. And as we move along, those voids will become greater, probably in South County and North County.
Let me write
Mrs. O'Shea, Mrs. Cook, Mrs. Lerner, and then Mrs. Hayden.
She'll explode by then.
I got part of what I was going to say, but
Good. Mrs. Cook?
I think the K2 or K3 ideas, which I've read some school districts are doing, is a great idea, and that will provide the diversity when you move grade levels in certain
Yeah.
schools. Just as ninth grade centers did in some districts, moving sixth and elementary, ninth back to middle school, some districts are playing with that. And that was my whole point before, is we need to bring this all together so that all the pieces fit together and do what's best for the kids in total, not just, let's say, move one program now and expand fundamental. I want to expand fundamental if the need's there, and I'm perfectly willing to do that in multiple locations if that's where it comes. But I think we need a year to put a plan in place that works for everything and everything.
Right.
To rush it now, I think we could end up regretting where we put it or how we put it or have the numbers, the size of it, a lot of things, especially when other programs may come in to impact those decisions by those parents.
And we have always found a lot of unintended consequences when we move quickly without thinking things through. So,
But I want to accommodate
the end.
them at Osceola for next year, whatever it takes to do that, to make sure that there is empty seats.
Mrs. Lerner?
Well, I think there are a few issues that the parents wanting fundamental schools is issues we have to look at for all our schools. I've been making a point of revisiting or visiting the fundamental schools. We can have a dress code like the fundamental schools if we're willing to do it. We can have a discipline code like the fundamental schools at all our schools, except we need more alternatives for so-called chronically disruptive kids. Because some of our schools are overwhelmed, and they don't, and I'm not saying it has to be at a separate school, but we need to have that. I'm just trying to get a little bit above what we're talking about. We want to provide the county-wide or the choices in the Career Academy, Centers of Excellence, magnets, but we want to provide the zone kids who live close to the school. Having said that, I still favor looking at Lakewood. There are seats there. Maybe we need some more information. I think if we break out the cat from the regular population, I think we are going to find that we are going to have very predominantly black population and high numbers of very struggling students. And in that respect, I agree with Mrs. Brown that we need to do something. And as we're looking at every single school, and you know what I say about dress code? You wear long pants, you wear a shirt with sleeves, and maybe a skirt, and that's it, and you have gym clothes.